Guys, I get it. It's not easy to find a hair system stylist. It's like really hard to find a stylist, and then it's really hard to find a really good one. So I've come up with a couple questions that you can go ahead and ask stylists when you're interviewing them, seeing if they're the right fit for you, that might be able to guide you in your search to finding the perfect hair system stylist. Guys, my name is Jake Kent, and you're watching this channel because we talk about hair loss, hair systems, and right now my hair system looks kind of... This video is sponsored by Lord Hair though, who is offering a discount if you're a first-time hair system buyer down below, so make sure you check them out right now. But in this video, we're gonna be talking about some questions that you can ask hair system stylists to see if they're the right person for you. So let's start, shall we? So the first question that I'd ask your hair system stylist is, how long you been doing this for? Now, you might actually think, hey, if they've been doing it for 20, 30 years, that's a really good thing, and that means that that's someone you should go with. Not always the case, because the hair system industry has changed so much in the past 20 years that sometimes those with a lot of experience can actually be held back by old techniques, old practices, preferences about hair systems, things like that. Not always the case. Some are modern and innovative and they stay pace with technology, but there are those that believe that the old ways are best and they kind of stick with those because, hey, don't fix it if it's not broken, you know what I mean? So this is a good question to kind of gauge where they are in their mental processes when it comes to hair systems. Did they learn 20 years ago and they stopped learning about them? Have they learned it in the past 3 to 5 years and they're kind of up to date with the current technologies and trends? It's a great litmus test to see if they're the right fit for you. Now, the next set of questions is really going to be about their personal experience and getting to know them, their hairstyles, things like that. So these are going to be kind of asked in conjunction, kind of like flow of thought, but a question that I really get like asking is, what types of styles do you do best? Now, stylists say, you know, hey, yeah, I can do everything and I will do everything, but that doesn't mean that they do every style the best. Some are better at certain ethnicities' hair textures. Some prefer a certain style. There's a lot of barbers and stylists for men's that love giving men fades, but they don't really know how to do styles that are a little bit longer. And the inverse is true sometimes. Stylists that are used to working with like women's hair or longer styles may not know how to get you that perfect fade. So it's a great question to gauge what their proficiency and skill level is with certain types of looks. And of course, immediately after they tell you what they do well, what they don't do well, I think it's great to ask them if you can see some of their work, some examples of clients that they've been successful with, and start to gauge what they think looks good on people and what their style preference is. Now, this can be kind of a green flag or a red flag, right? Because we might see styles that they show you that they're like, yeah, this is awesome, I think this looks really good, and you're like,
I don't think that looks good.
They might show you images of people with densities that are way too high, or maybe not the right hairstyles for their age or what have you. So this is a great way to get a temperature check of how they think about styles, how they give styles to people, and start to gauge where they are with if their style is on point with what you're looking for. Continuing this line of thought, I think another great question is, what style do you think I'd look the best with? You may have something in mind, but it's really useful to see if a stylist can kind of imagineer what you would look good with. If they can just see and tell, be like, yeah, that's something I can see on you, or be like, that's definitely not the look for you. And then you can kind of toss in some ideas for them, be like, hey, well, I was thinking about this. What do you honestly think about that? You're not looking for a yes person. You're not looking for a stylist that's like, oh yeah, that would look great on you. You look for someone that'd be like, yeah, that would be good. That could be okay, but I think with your face shape, these types of looks might be better. That's someone who understands like the way that faces look and hairstyles that complement them. That's someone that you're gonna want in your corner. Another great question to ask is, what is the biggest mistake that you think people with hair systems make when it comes to their style or their cut or the way that they look or maintain it? This can kind of give you a little bit of a pulse on if they're aware of, some of the downfalls that they need to watch out for when they're cutting in styles when they're trying to figure out, you know, your density, all that kind of stuff. If they come up with a couple different things, you're not looking for anything in specific. It's just more so checking to see if they're thinking about these things. Because as a professional, they should have answers for this. They should be like, yeah, you know, one thing I see a lot inside of hair systems, our hair system wears is like this type of thing right here. So that's something you'd want to watch out for. So that type of conversation is what you're looking for when you're having these questions. And I love these two questions right here because they're kind of like trick questions, but I ask people this all the time, like in whatever field they're in. If I'm hiring them for something in my business or I'm hiring them for something personally, I always love, like, what do you not do well? To me, this gives me like a little bit of insight to know first if they actually have some self-awareness about, hey, I'm not as good in this particular field, and like I'm okay with that because these are my strengths. So that's a great question to ask. And then the other one, like, who's your biggest competition locally? And that's a really cool question because once again, it shows self-awareness. Like, okay, that person over there is kind of my competitor, and here's why they're my competitor. This is a really great question because it can help you understand if they know like what their place is in the market, what their niche is versus another person. Because if they're like, I don't have any competition, I'm the best, either they're extremely cocky or they might be the best. But that's up for you to decide and kind of cross-analyze with, you know, their examples of past work and you know, how their recommendation is. But if you don't know them and, you know, you're just feeling them out and they're like, I'm the best there is, there's nobody that is competitive with me, and you know that there's like other competitors and you've seen some of their work and you're like, these are pretty good. You know, it can show a lack of self-awareness and maybe even like being braggadocious. So I think that that's something that you can look out for. I just love those questions because they tell me so much about a person's psychology. I'd rather work with someone that's humble and like still hungry and learning the craft than someone that's arrogant and doesn't think that they have anything to learn. Unless they're like the best of the best of the best, which, you know, you might find someone like that, but chances are, well, not everyone can be the best of the best, you know what I mean? So those are all really great questions, like behavioral, but also experiential questions that you can be asking your potential stylist. Another one that's really good is, how do you feel about educating me? Like, how do you feel about me learning more about hair systems, attachment methods, different adhesives? Like, are you open to experimenting? Like, tell me a little bit about like that process with your clients. And I would leave that as kind of like an open-ended question to see how they feel about that. If they're really uncomfortable, you're going to notice right away. But if they're like, yeah, dude, that's totally fine. Like, you know, the whole process of getting a hair system is kind of experiential anyways. Like, we're going to be trying some different adhesives. It's probably not going to be the right one right away. You're going to get a feel that they understand that, like, hey, this is a learning process, and yeah, we're going to go through a period of time. Someone that's honest like that is honestly way better to have in your corner than someone that's going to be like, no, dude, we're going to get it the first time. Like, you're going to wear it the first time. It's going to stay on for like eight months, and you're never going to have to change the adhesive, and I got you. Like, someone like that, you can obviously tell is just like full themselves. They're just trying to make the sale. You're looking for someone that has the heart of a teacher, someone that's an educator, and knows that the journey isn't always like a linear chart. It's easier to sell by saying like,
hey, yeah, man, we're gonna put this on your scalp and it's gonna work perfectly the first time and there's not gonna be any problems.
It's gonna be the right adhesive, the right color, the right density, all that kind of stuff. I would take someone being like, yeah, you know, we're gonna figure it out over the next like 3 months, and we're gonna like dial it in and make sure that you get like exactly the right look. To me, that's someone that understands that like growth is a process, and we're not gonna just like nail it on the first time. Once again, you might if they're really, really experienced, but if they're not, you know, chances are it's going to take some time. Now, this next set of questions is really to kind of gauge where they are with their processes when it comes with hair system installation, how they feel about all this stuff, and honestly, to see if they're kind of full of BS or not. So one question I like to ask is like, what type of hair system is this? Now, you'll probably hear in many different hair salons all over the world, like, oh yeah, you know, this is like an HD thin skin system, like this is a Invisalign, this is a ultra skin, like this is a, just like there's so many adjectives that are thrown around that are unnecessary. If you're educated, just know like all of this is like BS. It's just marketing. It's just like me saying, yeah, this is our hyper skin unit. Doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything at all. It doesn't mean ultra is better than hyper, or hyper is better than mega, or mega is better than sphincter. I don't know. Anyways, don't pay attention to these words, and if they give you that, say like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Like, is this going to be a lace unit? Is it going to be a poly unit? Is it going to be a hybrid unit? What type of lace? What type of poly is it? How thick is the poly? Like, ask those types of questions, because one, if they don't want to tell you, if they're like, no, this is like the Ultras HD Hyperskin 3000, then they're just selling you marketing. And yeah, it might be like their thinnest thin skin hair system, you know, like a poly unit. But if they're not just like being front with you, if they're not willing to give you that information once you show you know a little bit about hair systems, then I don't know, that like, to me, that's a big turnoff, because I'm like, okay, cool, it's a hyperskin unit, cool, what does that mean? Like, how thick is the poly? And then, you know, as you ask like, well, okay, cool, so that's the type of base unit this is. How's the hair tied in? Are they gonna tell you? Do they know? Not every hair system stylist is gonna know that. They might be like, oh yeah, it's a poly unit. Okay, how is it attached? You can be like, well, it's a poly unit, so the hair is like in it. Okay, cool, tell me more about that. Is it V-loop? Is it injected? Like, what's going on with this hair system? That will tell you a little bit more about their proficiency with hair systems and how much they know about the craft, right? Because a V-loop is gonna look different than an injected as far as the base look, and on top of that, they're gonna last a different amount of time. So that's all really important information to know, and it can help you with the next question, which is, how long do you expect this hair system to last me? If they're giving you something like, yeah, this Ultra Skin HD like 0.02 millimeters is gonna last you 8 months if you wear it every single day, they're full of crap. You know, maybe it'll last you 8 months, but like 95% chance it's not going to if you wear it every single day, all day. So know that kind of stuff. Like, are they pitching you some kind of reality that's not true? If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So be aware of that kind of stuff, and be okay with walking away if they're not being like hyper transparent with you. And then the last one kind of in this realm right here is, how long do you think I should be getting out of this bond right here? So, you know, ask them, what type of adhesive do you think that I should use? Why do you think I should use it? You know, you might walk in and it might say like, hey, you're gonna use this adhesive and it's gonna be great for you, but that might not be the right one for you and or your desired hairstyle. You know, if you're like, yeah, dude, I 100% want pushback hair, I wanna expose the hairline every single day, and you know, this is my lifestyle right here, they might give you something that isn't right for you. They might give you tape, and it might just be like not right for your situation. You might want to go with like a liquid adhesive that looks a little bit more closer to your scalp, if you will. Every stylist has preferences. Every single stylist I met with and talked with has said like, yeah, I just prefer doing things this way. And I almost always have to say to them, okay, I understand you, but this isn't about what you prefer doing. This is about what I know works for me and my scalp. And I actually have to kind of do some coaching, like very kindly do some coaching, but I have to say like, okay, I hear that you like that, but here's what I prefer you do. And I've tried a lot of things. So if we can just do that, that's what I'd prefer. And some may be receptive to that, some may not. That's the reality of the situations. I've had stylists in the past actually completely disregard my request, where I was just like, hey, yeah, you know, I would kind of like you to do it like this because I'm seeming to have problems with that bond that you want to use, and they still want to put on that bond. They're like, no, it wasn't installed right, like let me try it again. You know, you're gonna love it if you just do it. Yes, maybe I didn't install right, but if I'm comfortable with one thing and I know it works for me, good. That's what I want to stick with. So see how comfortable they are with, you know, using different adhesive methods, and you know what their recommendation is for you. I think that all this can be really, really enlightening, and you know, finding the journey to finding like your stylist it takes time, you know, and it's really interesting. Like once you find the right person, they kind of become like a pretty intimate relationship with you, because if you're relying on them to get your hair system done and to make sure it looks good, you're going to spend a lot of time like talking with them, and you want to make sure that you just have the right person, you know, that you vibe with, you jive with, that you can ask questions to, that they're not going to be withholding information from, you know, all this stuff that we talked about on this channel. So just be careful when you're, you know, picking a stylist, and do your research. I'm actually trying to put together a not a referral guide, but like a directory, if you will. That's probably going to be coming in the next year or so, of like, you know, hair system stylists that, you know, are kind of, I don't want to say approved, but that like I've looked at. So that's something that I want to do in the near future, and I think it could be really, really cool. But anyways, guys, thanks to Lower Hair for sponsoring this video. I appreciate you guys, and hope you all stay well.